it's hard to talk about the fighter who retired already. If he comes out and go sign the contract and we'll fight. I mean, let's fight again if he wants. I have no problem with that. I'm active now. I don't pick my opponent. I don't, I fight them all in my weight division.
Manny Pacquiao was never supposed to dominate boxing the way he did. He was undersized for most of the divisions he entered, soft-spoken outside the ring, and raised in poverty so severe that hunger was part of his childhood routine. Yet by the time the 2010s arrived, he had become the only fighter in history to win world titles in 8 weight divisions. From flyweight to super welterweight, he climbed through champions as if weight classes were merely suggestions. What made Pacquiao different was not just speed or power, it was hunger paired with humility. Even at the height of global fame, selling out Las Vegas and carrying the pride of an entire nation, he rarely spoke with bitterness about rivals. In interviews throughout the years, he repeatedly emphasized respect. He viewed boxing not as personal warfare, but as professional challenge. The men who stood across from him were not enemies in his language. They were tests. And that distinction matters. Because when a fighter conquers legends, the question becomes inevitable. Who does he look at and genuinely admire? Who forced him to grow, adapt, and dig deeper than instinct? Who earned praise not out of courtesy but conviction? Pacquiao has named those men before. Some were brutal rivals from the Mexican boxing tradition. Some were tactical masterminds. One was the most commercially anticipated opponent of his era. All of them, in different ways, shaped his journey. Number 5. Marco Antonio Barrera. When Manny Pacquiao stepped into the ring in the early 2000s against Marco Antonio Barrera, he was still viewed by many in the United States as a dangerous but raw puncher from overseas. Barrera, on the other hand, was established. He was polished. He had already gone through wars with elite Mexican rivals and carried himself like a complete champion. The fight in 2003 was not supposed to be easy for Pacquiao. Barrera had technique, composure, and championship experience. He was known for adjusting mid-fight, for staying calm under pressure. In interviews years later, Pacquiao acknowledged that facing Barrera forced him to mature. He could not simply rush forward recklessly. He had to respect distance. He had to respect timing. That night, Pacquiao overwhelmed Barrera with speed and volume, stopping him in the 11th round. It was a breakthrough performance on American soil. But what stands out is what Pacquiao said afterward. He did not boast. He praised Barrera's courage. He described him as a true warrior and a fighter who deserved honor. The rematch years later showed another layer. Pacquiao was more disciplined, more calculated. The young attacker had evolved into a sharper, more complete champion. Barrera had tested the foundation of his confidence early in his international career. Surviving that level of opposition validated Pacquiao's belief that he belonged among the elite. In many ways, Barrera represented entry into boxing's highest circle. The respect Pacquiao shows him is tied to that moment of validation. He was not just an opponent, he was proof that the boy from General Santos City could defeat an established legend on the world stage. And that kind of test leaves a permanent mark on a fighter's journey. Number 4. Erik Morales. Before Manny Pacquiao became a global superstar, there was one night in 2005 that forced him to confront something he had not experienced in years: defeat. Erik Morales was not intimidated by Pacquiao's speed. He was not overwhelmed by the noise. He stood his ground, boxed with discipline, and made subtle adjustments that disrupted Pacquiao's rhythm. For the first time on the biggest American stage, Pacquiao was outmaneuvered. Morales won a unanimous decision. It was not a robbery. It was not controversial. It was a lesson. Pacquiao has often spoken about that fight with respect. He has acknowledged that Morales' intelligence and composure inside the ring exposed flaws in his own approach. At the time, Pacquiao relied heavily on aggression and angles. Morales neutralized that with timing and tactical patience. The loss hurt, but it reshaped him. The rematch later that same year showed the transformation. Pacquiao attacked the body earlier. He cut off the ring more effectively. He made Morales uncomfortable in exchanges. The second fight ended with a stoppage. The trilogy concluded in 2006 with a decisive knockout. But what mattered most was not revenge, it was growth. Pacquiao has referred to Morales as one of the toughest and smartest fighters he ever faced. The respect stems from that first defeat. Morales proved that Pacquiao was not invincible. He forced him to expand his arsenal, to refine his discipline, to become more than just explosive. Some opponents build your record, others build your character. Morales did the latter. Number 3. Juan Manuel Marquez. If there was one rival who followed Manny Pacquiao across eras, weight classes, and identities, it was Juan Manuel Marquez. Their first meeting in 2004 began with chaos. Pacquiao dropped Marquez 3 times in the opening round, a storm that seemed ready to end everything early. But Marquez stood up, recalibrated, and slowly rebuilt the fight round by round. It ended in a draw, and from that night forward, neither man would ever be the same. Pacquiao has repeatedly described Marquez as one of the most intelligent counterpunchers he ever faced. Marquez studied him with precision. He adjusted to the angles. He timed the left hand. He made every exchange dangerous. The rematch in 2008 was razor close. Pacquiao won a split decision, but the margins were thin enough to fuel endless debate. Respect grew not from dominance, but from difficulty. By the time they fought again in 2011, both men were veterans carrying years of rivalry. Pacquiao won another decision, controversial in some eyes, but the rivalry refused to fade. Then came the 4th fight in 2012. In the 6th round, Marquez landed a perfectly timed right hand that ended the night instantly. Pacquiao lay motionless on the canvas in one of the most shocking knockouts of the era. What makes this rivalry unique is not simply the results. It is the symmetry. Each man forced the other to adapt repeatedly. Marquez demanded discipline from Pacquiao. He punished recklessness. He exposed predictability. Pacquiao has acknowledged that Marquez was among the most technically demanding opponents of his career, a fighter who required full concentration at every second. Some opponents test your power, some test your heart. Marquez tested Pacquiao's precision, patience, and resilience across nearly a decade. That kind of rivalry earns lasting respect. Number 2. Oscar De La Hoya. When Manny Pacquiao agreed to fight Oscar De La Hoya in 2008, many observers questioned whether he belonged in the same ring. De La Hoya was the Golden Boy, an Olympic gold medalist, a global star, and a multi-division champion who had already carried boxing through the 1990s and early 2000s. Pacquiao was moving up again in weight, stepping into welterweight territory against a naturally larger man with far greater commercial power. Pacquiao has often said that De La Hoya was one of the fighters he admired long before they ever met. As a young boxer watching international broadcasts, De La Hoya represented glamour, success, and technical polish. Sharing the ring with him was not simply another title opportunity. It was a confrontation with a figure he had once viewed from a distance. The fight itself changed perceptions overnight. Pacquiao's speed proved overwhelming. His combinations were sharp, relentless, and precise. Round after round, De La Hoya struggled to keep up with the tempo. By the 8th round, the fight was stopped. It was not merely a victory. It was a statement that Pacquiao could dominate at higher weights against established icons. What stands out, however, is the tone Pacquiao used afterward. He did not frame the night as humiliation. He spoke respectfully about De La Hoya's accomplishments and legacy. He acknowledged the risk De La Hoya took in facing him and credited him for giving him the platform that elevated his global profile. That fight did not just expand Pacquiao's fame, it redefined how he was perceived in America. De La Hoya represented the gateway to superstardom. Facing him forced Pacquiao to believe that he could compete with the sport's biggest names under its brightest lights. Respect, in this case, came from both history and transformation. Number 1. Floyd Mayweather Jr. For years, one name hovered above Manny Pacquiao's career like an unfinished sentence. Floyd Mayweather Jr. represented not only elite skill, but a contrasting philosophy of boxing. Where Pacquiao thrived on aggression and combinations, Mayweather built his reputation on control, defense, and calculated precision. The world debated for nearly half a decade before they finally met in 2015. By the time the fight was signed, both men were global icons. The event became one of the highest-grossing bouts in boxing history. Expectations were immense, and the scrutiny was relentless. Pacquiao has since acknowledged that Mayweather's discipline inside the ring was exceptional. He described him as a smart fighter who understood distance, timing, and risk better than almost anyone. The fight itself was tactical. Mayweather controlled range and neutralized much of Pacquiao's forward momentum. It was not a wild exchange. It was strategic chess at championship pace. Mayweather won a unanimous decision. For Pacquiao, it was not the result he wanted, but it was the final chapter of a rivalry that defined an era. What makes Mayweather the most respected name on this list is not sentiment, it is acknowledgement. Pacquiao has consistently credited Mayweather's defensive mastery and ring IQ. Even in rivalry, he refrained from diminishing his opponent's skill. He framed the fight as competition between two different styles at the highest level. Mayweather forced Pacquiao to confront limitations. He slowed him down. He denied him momentum. He represented the one opponent who remained stylistically elusive. In many ways, that challenge cemented Pacquiao's legacy. Because greatness is not measured only by victories, but by the caliber of those you stand across from. Mayweather was the ultimate contrast, and that contrast demanded respect. Manny Pacquiao's list of respected fighters reveals something deeper than rivalry. Marco Antonio Barrera validated his arrival on the world stage. Eric Morales taught him resilience after defeat. Juan Manuel Marquez demanded technical evolution across 4 wars. Oscar de la Hoya elevated him into global superstardom. Floyd Mayweather Jr. challenged him at the strategic pinnacle of the sport. These names were not simply opponents on a record, they were defining tests. Each one shaped a different phase of Pacquiao's career. Each one forced adaptation. Each one refined the fighter who would eventually become a symbol of national pride and international achievement. Respect, for Pacquiao, was never about friendship. It was about growth, and the men he names are the ones who helped forge the legend.